Okay, so picture this. You're on this luxurious ocean liner, right? Like the golden age of ocean travel. And it's the middle of the night. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, you're jolted awake.
Oh, wow.
But not by an alarm clock or anything. I'm talking a jarring crash. Another ship is just slammed into yours.
Oh, wait.
This isn't some scene from a movie. This was the real deal.
Oh, man.
Passengers aboard the SS Andrea Doria in 1956, that's what they faced.
Wow.
And tonight,
Oh.
we're diving deep into this whole thing.
Okay, yeah.
Trying to figure out how this majestic ship, this queen of the sea, ended up at the bottom of the Atlantic.
The Andrea Doria, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't just any ship, you know?
Right.
This was a symbol, like a floating beacon of Italy's comeback after World War II.
I see, yeah.
All that Italian craftsmanship, the artistry, the design, it was meant to show off the best of Italy.
Like a floating palace.
Exactly. Exactly.
But she wasn't alone out there on the waves that night. There was another ship, the MS Stockholm.
Yeah, the Stockholm, a more practical, kind of sturdy vessel.
Right.
A bit of a workhorse, but it kind of reflects, those changing times.
Yeah, right.
Air travel was becoming all the rage, but those ocean liners, they still had that pull.
That allure.
Exactly, for folks looking for that grand adventure.
And get this. Both of these ships, they had radar. Which was still pretty new for civilian ships back then.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Right. So you've got the Andrea Doria, this luxurious, almost like a statement piece.
Yeah.
And then the Stockholm, more about function than like flash.
Right.
And they're both sailing into this new age of seafaring.
Interesting.
So, okay, let's rewind to July 1956.
Okay.
The Andrea Doria, she's sailing out of Genoa, packed with over 1,700 passengers and crew.
Wow.
And some big names on board, too.
Yeah.
Actress Ruth Roman and Mike Stoller, the songwriter.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, he was one half of the duo that wrote, Hound Dog.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Classic.
And at the helm of the Andrea Doria, we've got Captain Piero Calami, a very experienced mariner.
Okay.
And on the Stockholm side, they're sailing from New York, headed for Sweden.
Uh-huh.
And their captain, Gunnar Nordenson, known for running a tight ship.
Strict. By the book.
Totally. But here's the thing. On that particular night, a much younger officer, third mate Johan Ernst Karstens Johansen, he was actually in command.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine the pressure on this relatively junior officer.
Oh, yeah.
So picture this. Both ships are approaching this, busy intersection near the Nantucket Lightship.
Oh, okay.
They used to call it the Times Square of the Atlantic.
Really? I've never heard that.
Yeah. Super congested, like a maritime traffic jam.
Got it.
And to make things even more interesting, the Stockholm, she decided to take a shortcut.
Oh.
A more direct route, which, potentially put her right in the path of oncoming ships.
Mm.
And then, to add to this whole situation, a thick fog bank rolls in.
That's never good.
Nope. These fogs were super common in that area,
Right.
where the warm Gulf Stream meets the colder Atlantic.
Yeah.
Visibility, gone.
Makes it tough to see what you're doing.
Exactly. Big-time challenge for navigation.
Uh-huh.
Now, even with the fog, the Andrea Doria, she was still moving faster than she probably should have been.
Oh.
Yeah, they were using the old methods, foghorns, lookouts.
Right.
But with such limited visibility,
Yeah.
there wasn't room for error.
Right.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because the accounts of what happened next, they differ.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, Captain Calami on the Andrea Doria, he was convinced they were on a starboard-to-starboard course.
Meaning?
They would pass each other on the right.
Okay.
But Karstens Johansen over on this Stockholm, he insisted they were on a port-to-port course.
So passing on the left.
Exactly.
Mm.
And the regulations back then, they said ships should pass on the port side.
Okay.
So was it starboard to starboard or port to port?
That's a huge difference.
It is, and it's a key part of this whole mystery. Gotcha.
Because, here's the thing. If either one of those ships had just stuck to their original course,
Yeah.
the collision, it probably wouldn't have happened.
That's a chilling thought.
It is. And it really highlights, how important clear communication is out on the sea, especially in tough conditions.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
a shared understanding of the rules.
Yeah.
Everyone has to be on the same page.
Exactly.
Yeah, it makes you wonder, how could two captains, experienced guys,
Yeah.
how could they see things so differently?
Yeah.
You've got theories, of course. Could be just human error,
Sure.
maybe fatigue,
Yeah.
the stress of the situation.
Right.
But there's also the chance of equipment malfunction.
Yeah, and I think I read somewhere that some folks even thought, like, maybe the Stockholm, they saw another ship's lights.
Ah, yeah. Mistook him for the Andrea Dorias.
That's it.
Yeah, it's possible. A smaller ship in the area could add it to the confusion.
Right. You got to remember, radar back then, it was new, a big deal.
Yeah.
But it wasn't, like the systems we have today.
Right. Not as accurate, I guess.
Exactly. So you've got this thick fog, you've got potential for misreading the radar.
And, all the pressure of navigating in a super busy shipping lane.
It was like a recipe for disaster.
It really was. And unfortunately, well, you know what happened.
Sadly, yeah. The Stockholm, she had this reinforced bow,
Oh, yeah.
icebreaker style, meant to cut through ice.
Wow.
And that's what slammed into the Andrea Doria's side.
I can't even imagine.
A tremendous amount of force.
Oh,
51 people, they lost their lives in the collision.
So sad.
Many of them instantly.
And then all the others dealing with injuries, the trauma of that night.
Yeah.
It's hard to even think about. The survivors, though, their stories are incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Full of courage, resilience,
And heartbreak.
Oh, absolutely.
One story that always gets to me, it's about Linda Morgan.
Oh, I think I've heard of her.
A young girl. She was thrown from the Andrea Doria onto the Stockholm.
What?
Yeah, during the impact. Can you imagine?
No.
And her family, they didn't make it.
That's just, I don't even have words.
It's a powerful image, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just, the chaos, the unpredictability of it all.
Right.
After the impact, the Andrea Doria, she started listing badly.
Tilting to one side.
Heavily. And a lot of the lifeboats, they couldn't be used.
Oh, no.
And the collision, it happened on the starboard side.
The right side.
Yeah, and that was the side that was going under.
So they couldn't even get to the lifeboat.
Exactly.
It's amazing anyone got off that ship.
It really is. But even with all the terror, all the uncertainty, people, they stepped up.
Acts of heroism?
Absolutely. It was chaos, but there was this massive rescue effort. The Ile-de-France, French ocean liner.
I've heard of that one.
It was nearby, luckily, and they rescued hundreds.
And wasn't the Cape Ann there, too? A Navy ship?
Yeah, the Cape Ann, a transport ship, and the Coast Guard, they sent tons of vessels. Everyone came together. A real international effort.
Amazing.
I mean, those crews, they risked their own lives.
Yeah.
Going through that debris, that fog, just to save people.
And they did save a lot of people, right?
They did. Over 1,600 passengers and crew, they were rescued.
That's incredible. But what about the Andrea Doria? Was there any way to save her?
Captain Calamy, he hoped so.
Yeah.
He thought maybe they could keep her afloat. And his crew, they were loyal.
They didn't want to leave him.
Refused to abandon him. But the damage, it was too much.
I see.
About 11 hours after the collision, the Andrea Doria, she went down.
Symbol of Italy, gone.
Yeah.
I've seen those photos of the sinking.
Oh, yeah.
By Harry Trask, the photojournalist.
Oh, right.
Haunting.
Yeah.
Powerful images.
He was on a ship nearby. It just happened to be in the right place at the wrong time.
Well, and he won a Pulitzer for those pictures.
Right. He did.
Incredible.
They're more than just a ship sinking, you know?
I know what you mean.
They capture the power of the sea, the fragility of what we build.
It's a powerful reminder.
And they got the world's attention.
Yeah.
Put a human face on this tragedy.
Made people talk about safety at sea.
Exactly.
But the story, it doesn't end there. There were the legal battles.
Oh, yeah.
They were huge.
Huge mess. Both shipping lines, they blamed each other.
Of course.
Naturally. Our ship wasn't at fault.
Right.
And the survivors, they filed lawsuits.
Trying to get compensation.
For their losses, the trauma, everything. It was a tangle. Accusations, expert testimony, conflicting accounts, the whole 9 yards.
So how did it all end?
It went on for years.
Yeah, you see.
Years. Added another layer of pain to the whole thing.
Oh, man.
And in the end, they settled out of court.
So no one was held accountable.
Not officially.
That's got to be tough.
It was.
Especially for the families who lost loved ones.
The settlement, it offered some financial compensation, but
Yeah.
it didn't really provide any closure.
Yeah.
No real sense of accountability. And Captain Calamy, even after everything he did, trying to save the ship, his crew standing by him, his reputation, it suffered.
That's really sad. I guess it just goes to show that sometimes, even when there's no, clear villain,
right,
the human cost, it's huge.
It is. And it reaches far beyond that one night.
I mean, the Andrea Doria, she's gone.
Yeah.
But her story, it didn't end there.
It continued in the courtrooms, in the memories of everyone affected by that night.
And those memories, they live on.
Yeah.
And so does the wreck itself.
That's right. It's still down there about 60 miles off Nantucket.
Wow.
A real reminder of what happened.
And I've heard it's a popular spot for divers.
Oh, yeah. Experienced divers, though.
Really?
They call it the Mount Everest of wreck diving.
I could see why. That's intense.
It's deep, strong currents, and the wreck itself, it's deteriorating.
So it's a risky dive.
Very risky. But for those who make the dive,
Yeah.
it's like a window into another time, a time of these grand ocean liners.
And I bet there's still stuff down there.
Oh, yeah.
Like artifacts, personal belongings.
Divers have found all sorts of things.
Right.
China, silverware, with the Andrea Doria's insignia.
Wow.
Luggage with people's stuff inside.
It's kind of eerie, isn't it?
It is.
But also fascinating. All these objects sitting on the ocean floor for all these years.
Yeah.
Each one a piece of a story.
It reminds us that history, it's not just dates and facts,
I know what you mean.
It's people and the things they left behind.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
But the Andrea Doria's story, it's not just about the wreck and the artifacts. It also changed the maritime industry, right?
It did. It was a wake-up call.
Like the Titanic.
Exactly. It made everyone look at safety again.
And what kind of changes came out of that?
Well, they started defining shipping lanes more clearly.
Oh.
Especially in busy areas like where the collision happened.
Makes sense.
Like bringing order to that Times Square of the Atlantic.
Yeah, right.
And radar technology, it kept improving, becoming more reliable.
Right.
And they really focused on training for officers.
All right.
Making sure they knew how to use the radar, how to communicate clearly.
So the disaster, it actually made things safer in the long run.
It did.
And wasn't there something about, like, direct communication between ships?
Oh, that was huge. Remember, back then, they had to relay messages through radio operators.
Yeah.
It could take forever. Plus, misunderstandings.
Right.
Direct communication like we have now.
Yeah.
That was a game changer.
It seems so obvious now.
Right. But it meant they could share information faster, more accurately.
Prevent more collisions.
Exactly. Especially in the fog.
It's amazing, really. Something good came out of something so terrible.
It is.
The Andrea Doria, a tragedy,
But it led to improvements that have saved countless lives.
and I guess that's the lesson, right?
Learn from the past, even when it's a painful past.
Adapt. Try to make things better.
Exactly.
Well, for anyone listening who maybe hasn't heard of the Andrea Doria before,
Yeah.
what would you say is the most important takeaway?
It's a lot of things, really. It's about the power of nature,
Ah.
the importance of good judgment, communication.
Yeah,
But it's also about resilience,
I see.
how people can come together, find ways to make things better after a tragedy.
Yeah,
The Andrea Doria, it's a powerful reminder.
it is.
And it's a story that's still unfolding.
That's a great way to put it. And for anyone who wants to learn more, there's so much out there.
Oh, yeah.
Photos, eyewitness accounts, documentaries, you name it.
Right.
The Andrea Doria's story, it's full of drama.
Yeah,
Technological challenges, human stories, lessons we're still learning from today.
absolutely.
Well, that's it for tonight's deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring
Keep learning.
and keep diving deep.